It seems like there may be cause for pause at Ubisoft in the sense of investors seem to not be happy with the company right now. According to Twitter user Dread Roberts, the Ubisoft situation has gotten far worse. Not only has their share price taken an epic nosedive in the past couple days, but now their own investors are beginning to panic. AJ Investments is demanding in an open letter to Ubisoft CEO that the company goes private, lowers their prices, and fires their staff in an attempt to save what dignity remains of their failing company. They question Ubisoft's integrity, cast doubt on their ability to give gamers what they want. Not looking good. Activist Ubisoft investors calls for strategic and structural change. And this apparently is the open letter. It says, "Dear members of the board, dear fellow shareholders, as significant minority shareholder in Ubisoft Entertainment via AJ Investments and our partners, we are writing to express our deep dissatisfaction with the current performance and strategic direction of the company. The recent quarterly results, which included the postponement of key games like Rainbow Six Siege and The Division into the 2025 lineup, and a lower revenue outlook for the Q2 2024, have heightened our concerns about the management's ability to deliver value to shareholders over the long term. Share price of Ubisoft have decreased by more than 40% over the last year compared to the rise of its competitors and indexes." The letter consists of following points: take Ubisoft private or allow it to sell it to strategic investor. Ubisoft valuation, while we believe Ubisoft is great undervalued company and should be worth between 40 to 45 euros per share, our concerns about the future of this company with current management and directory are proposals to increase value Ubisoft for all stakeholders. 1. Allow take private process by PE firm or Guillemot family plus Tencent at fair price. Allow sale process as we are in discussion with investors to fight against Guillemot family with so-called proxy fight at extraordinary shareholder meeting. Change of the current management, start hiring process of new CEO who will optimize the cost and studio structure for more agile and competitive company as Ubisoft should be. We will use the French minority law to collect enough shareholders to start proxy fight and initiate sale process of Ubisoft to increase shareholder value for all shareholders. The investor sets out 4 proposals to increase the value of Ubisoft for all stakeholders. They include allowing Ubisoft to go private, selling the company, changing current management, and ousting Guillemot as CEO, or starting a proxy fight with French minority law. For its reasoning, AJ Investors says that Ubisoft is being mismanaged and that the shareholders are currently hostages of Guillemot family members and Tencent who take advantage of them. The company goes on to say that it cannot understand Ubisoft's management strategy and that the studio seems more focused on pleasing investors rather than providing an exceptional experience for its fans. Which, not gonna lie, I do agree with that last part, providing an exceptional experience for its fans, because apart from Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, them the only 2 franchises I'd be willing to give a fair shake on. Maybe Ghost Recon, depending on what it's going to look like next year. Who they ought to sell this company to is a big question mark. Who ought to be the new CEO of Ubisoft? Personally, I would want them to sell the company to somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. It seems like they'd rather Ubisoft sell the company outright than sell the IPs to somebody that could, take care of it. If I had to pick somebody, and this gonna make me sound like a pony, I'd rather it be PlayStation. Own all them IPs. And I know people could talk about, well, exclusivity, it'll only be on one platform. I don't know about that. Like, that's a lot of money you'll be leaving on the table, possibly. I think there's still a good chance, even if PlayStation owned Ubisoft, all Ubisoft's games would still come out on Xbox, they would of course come out on PC. But the reason why I say PlayStation is because people would trust all of Ubisoft's IPs if they were in the hands of PlayStation rather than Ubisoft. But then the question would become, who would PlayStation replace Yves Guillemot with as CEO, and what do they do with the studios and the IPs? Do they just have Ubisoft Montreal or whatever they would be called, like PlayStation Studios Montreal. Like, I don't know what they would call them if they got acquired by PlayStation. And furthermore, I think that if they were bought, you could still have a possibility of them experimenting with newer engines, like the engines that PlayStation uses for certain games, like the one used for God of War Ragnarok, Ghost of Tsushima, and even both Horizon games with the Decima engine. If, like, just imagine any Ubisoft IP running on the Decima engine, an engine that was crafted for open world games. That is literally majority of Ubisoft's bread and butter is open world games. So what better engine to use it for than that engine? An engine that's handcrafted for open world games, not the fucking Anvil engine or the Snowdrop engine. Got to be the worst engine I've ever seen for a video game. There's a lot of different things they could do with it. Now, they could go a route of, like, let's say acquiring Ubisoft, kicking the Guillermo family out, and closing down all the studios and just giving the IPs to every single PlayStation studio there is. Because think of it this way. If Blue Point was working on the Splinter Cell remake and the Prince of Persia remake, the hype for them remakes would be through the roof, because Blue Point has a great track record. It's been proven. They released a remaster trilogy for Uncharted. People love that. And they released the remake for Demon's Souls. People love that. And they also did a remake for Shadow of the Colossus, which is also beloved by many. Or just imagine this. If Ghost Recon was in the hands of Naughty Dog, I think the hype would be through the roof. People could talk about the storytelling that they could craft or whatever, but at least the gameplay, people would be looking forward to that. And especially from a technical standpoint, people would be living in denial if they didn't say the gameplay for Last of Us Part 2 wasn't top notch. Gameplay that I think just obliterates every Uncharted game, in my opinion. Also, just picture this. If Sony Santa Monica made Assassin's Creed, first of all, visually, it would be stunning. Secondly, the reason why I would say Assassin's Creed is because they've made the God of War series. They've made a bunch of games that involve hacking and slashing. And I think making a game that could be more focused on stealth and somewhat combat, I think would be up their alley. And I think if they were making Assassin's Creed Shadows right now, dude, the hype would be expeditiously crazy right now. Granted, the hype is great as it is, but it would be 10 times that. Or even better yet, imagine if Guerrilla was working on a Far Cry game. For one, it would be drop dead gorgeous. On the engine that they run games on, it would be gorgeous. And at least the content in the open world would feel sustainable to do. Would it probably still maintain that formula of, you know, liberating bases? Sure. But I think they would probably mix it up a little bit in some way, whatever way. I don't know how they would do it. PlayStation would be a better fit than anybody else. Who would you rather have? Xbox? Because they just got through a whole bunch of legal hurdles with acquiring ABK. Could you imagine the legal hurdles they'd have to go through just to get Ubisoft? And plus, they would be a monopoly if they got them. That is a monopoly. You own Bethesda, you own ABK and Ubisoft, you are a monopoly. I don't care what nobody says. And if not PlayStation acquiring them, who would? Now, granted, people could debate if they got the money to do so. They may or may not. I don't know. But apart from them, who else? It can't be Xbox, and I don't want it to be somebody like Embracer Group. You know why? Because they butcher IPs. They butcher studios. Them motherfuckers are the definition of greedy slime balls. Like, after they closed down Volition, they started closing down everybody else for whatever reason. They closed down the people who made Time Splitters. They closed down a bunch of people. So I would at least be happier with PlayStation, even though would I look at that as a monopolistic tactic? Sure, I would. But at least they would thrive. Like, if we're being honest, I think if they were to try to do something like putting those games only on PlayStation and PC, it would piss off a lot of people. Like, sure, People could try to pull up numbers and stats on more people play Ubisoft games on PlayStation than Xbox. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, even if that's the case, that's still extra dollar left on the table that can go towards something else. And think of all the old IPs Ubisoft has that they could possibly revive. People could also point out, well, PlayStation takes too long to make games. Quality over quantity. You look at the quantity of games Ubisoft themselves come out with, how many of them games people talk about the most? Apart from maybe a few here and there, like South Park, the Prince of Persia games, Assassin's Creed. It's so few far in between compared to Sony. I don't know. Is it likely they would be bought by PlayStation? It may never happen. All this I'm saying may end up never coming true. But if you were to ask me who would be the best fit, it'd be PlayStation. Because at least they know how to make Ubisoft's formula a lot better than they do. And in terms of who the new head honcho could be running that place, there's not that many people I can think of. And really, I don't be going CEO shopping for companies, but the only CEO that me personally I think would make stockholders and shareholders and investors just go crazy is Sean Layden. And take that what you will. I know Sean Layden probably just chilling somewhere on the beach, not giving a fuck. He's retired and enjoying his best life. Like, he's not trying to get back into the business, probably. But that's the only guy who I can think of that would probably send investors into a frenzy. If he took over, like, apart from him, I don't know who else could. But y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.